Hey, y'all. Welcome to your show.
Don't be a victim.
I'm Lee Turner Jr. of Tango Firearms Training.
I'm Buddy Myers of Tall Guns.
Well, welcome back to another week from Alabama.
And from beautiful northern Colorado.
I think we got a good show lined up this week. We're going to roll into a few topics. Definitely one that's near and dear to my heart and to Buddy's sons, the United States Marine Corps' birthday. And that's on
Semper
November
Fi.
10th. Semper Fi. Definitely going to be a lot of partying tomorrow, that's for sure.
On Veterans Day, there'll be a lot of dispersed gray matter from the night before. Because tomorrow, folks, November 10th, as Lee said, Marine Corps birthday, 246 years.
246 years of celebrations, man. You know, the Marine Corps has guarded the United States for hundreds of years now, faithfully. And we've done our jobs everywhere we've gone. We've done everything the United States have asked of us. And that's why the Marines celebrate so hard, you know. And I love all my veterans brothers and sisters, but, you know, the other branches don't say, well, I was Army, I was Navy. The Marine says, I'm a Marine, and I'll forever be a Marine. There is no ex-Marines. We are Marines till the day we die because we earned that Eagle Globe and Anchor, and they pin it on our chest at graduation of boot camp.
Yeah,
And I'm sure, as you know, your son.
Yeah, oh yeah, I was there for the graduation with him and a bunch of others, and you know, with as the hymn says, proud to earn the title of U.S. Marine. I mean, it's a title that's earned and worn for life. It's never gone.
It is. I mean, what they put you through in boot camp to earn it. That's why they put you through what they do, is so you will say, I earned it.
Well,
I mean, it's no laughing matter.
Well, that's why the Marine Corps has the longest boot camp of any of the services. And if you go through a Corps boot camp, you don't have to go through any boot camp ever again if you go into another service. My dad served in the Corps and in the Air Force, and when he left the Corps and went over to the Air Force, they said, "You took Marine Corps boot camp. You don't have to do anything. We can, you're ready to go."
Yeah, you know, I mean, the Marine Corps first celebrated its official birthday on November 10th, 1775 by the Continental Marines. And that after that, you know, the Marine Corps came about, I think it was 1790, 1793, 1798.
Well, that was just a change. That was just a name change.
Just,
I mean,
just a name change.
Yeah, because you had to, it was the Marines from the get go, because we don't want to give my son-in-law, who is a Chief Warrant Officer 5 in the Army, any excuse to say, "Oh no, we were first." No, Joe, you weren't first. The Marines were first.
Yeah, just a name change. That was
Toon Tavern, dude. Go check it out.
You know, and I'm excited because I joined the Marine Corps League down here, and it's just these guys and talking to them from Korea, Vietnam, you know, Gulf War, and today present Iraq and Afghanistan. Just a good group of guys, and to get together and celebrate together, and, you know, swap some old war stories with each other. It's just crazy meeting these guys from, you know, and they're not all just from Alabama. You know, a lot of people retire, especially a lot of servicemen retire down here. And, you know, you get to talk to them, and he's from Illinois, and he's a great dude. And like I said, I met a Korean War veteran. This guy's chest was packed, and, you know, they wear that stuff on their jackets and their caps, and when we meet at these leagues. And it's still, you know, it's just something that the Marines carry throughout history with just the Marine Corps leagues, you know, where you meet other Marines and talk about things you've done, and you get together, and it's a good night out. You know, and it's not no drunk fest, but I'm sure it's Marine Corps ball now. That's a different story.
Well, yeah, gray matter shall perish.
Yeah. So, yeah, the Marine Corps birthday is celebrated by Marines, family members, anybody who cares about a Marine, and they know that we call it our second birthday. You know, I have a birthday on the day I was born, and I have a birthday on the day, you know, I became a Marine. And that day is tomorrow.
And
I actually became a Marine on June 5th, 1989. But my Marine Corps birthday is November 10th every year.
And And there's a reason why the Marine Corps birthdays before Veterans Day, because before there were veterans, there was the Marine Corps.
Exactly. Marine Corps helped found this country and has defended it every day since. It's just we got our Marine Corps ball coming up on this Saturday, and I'm highly excited for that. I think it's going to be a good time.
It's a joyous event for Marines all over the world. The Marine Corps birthday and what they do, and I mean all the services have different things that they do, but the Marine Corps, I mean, they make it an event. I mean, it truly is an event of brotherhood, of camaraderie, of love for the nation, that they were willing to take that chance to give their life, and some of their brothers and sisters did give their lives for the defense of the nation, and it's a big deal for them. And I mean, it's to observe and be fortunate enough to have gone. I mean, it is truly a very fun event. Very fun event.
Yeah, a lot of people, just a little piece of the history about, you hear Marines when they pass. You may not know each other. You'll hear them say Semper Fi, which is short for Semper Fidelis. And it's the Latin term for always faithful. And when we say that to each other, it means we're faithful to our brotherhood for the United States. We're telling each other, hey, I got your six, if you ever need me. Don't know your name, don't know where you come from, but you know what? We're brothers. And that's why we say Semper Fi to each other. Just in passing.
Yeah, and the Marines, I mean, everybody kind of jokes about, the Marine Corps birthday, the Marine Ball. The ball's a big party. Well, it is, because, I'll tell you what, they work hard, they fight hard, so guess what? They're going to play hard.
Yep.
That's the key. They're going to play hard. They're going to play hard.
It's a celebration of everything, the Marine Corps, life, what we've done, our accomplishments, our failures, and it's just a celebration of it all because we did it together as a band of brothers.
It's just like, Veterans Day, and I've just got a few moments to cover it. Veterans Day was all about the end of the Great War. On the 11th day of the 11th month at the 11th hour, the bells would tell Armistice Day in World War I. That's why Veterans Day is there, to acknowledge the sacrifice of the veterans. We have Memorial Day to recognize the passing of those that made the ultimate sacrifice. Veterans Day, is still to acknowledge it, but it's about recognizing the contribution, all of the vets, regardless of what conflicts, what wars that they fought in, and it is back to World War I, and that's what it's about. So just remember that. Hug a vet when you see him this week. Thank him, of what they did. Well, it's time for that first break, Lee. We're going to go off to break, folks, and we'll be right back. Well, we're back from break, Lee. You started to say something when we had to go off before.
No, we just talk. We're kind of rolling in now. Veterans Day is November 11th, and a lot of people, they don't know, and history's not being taught in schools anymore. But World War I ended on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, and that's why Veterans Day was chosen on that time, November 11th. I think it was known as the Armistice Day.
And all the bells would ring because, a lot of parts of the world, they stopped ringing the bells. But on the 11th day, on the 11th hour, and the 11th month, the bells ring again. To the fact that this war had ended.
Yeah, that's what it was originally started about the World War I ending. But then later on in the 1940s, it was changed to honor all veterans. Yep. That's why it became Veterans Day. And, it doesn't matter what they did. They don't have to wear a combat action ribbon on their chest. Any veteran who served made a sacrifice. And I don't care if he did paperwork or if he was a child line or he was in the supply, they made a sacrifice. They left their families. They went somewhere. They signed a blank check up to my life, in which men have lost their life working in other jobs other than an infantry unit. So all veterans, no matter what their MOS was, which an MOS is the military occupational specialty, means what job they're doing. And it don't matter what their job is. They made an ultimate sacrifice to leave their families and protect the country.
Everybody talks about the forgotten war sometimes. They'll talk about, Korea and things like that. But think about the Cold War warriors, the ones that for many years sat there, 30 minutes from total world annihilation in a Cold War where, missiles could fly over the tops of the poles and destruction could occur. But they made a sacrifice. I mean, they sat down there in LCFs and submarines on the bottom of the ocean, different places, listening posts in Turkey, sitting just listening to see what the Soviet Union at that time was up to. Bases all across the world, and they're veterans. They're veterans of a different type of war. And don't forget them either.
No, and it's all veterans, no matter what they did. And believe you me. When we were sitting in the desert and 3 weeks of MREs and here comes our chow, you can bet your butt that cook was my best friend that day. So, again, I don't care what they did in the service. They made a sacrifice to serve our country. They wore the uniform, and they just need to be celebrated as anyone else,
Good point.
And a lot of people look at it, well, Veterans Day is, for guys who won all these silver stars and medals of honor. No, that's not what Veterans Day is about.
Yeah, there's other days for that. Days for that.
And there's a lot that goes in with, even around our Veterans Day. That a lot of people don't know even the 13 folds of a flag, all their meanings, or why do veterans go to, like Arlington Cemetery and they'll leave coins. There's meanings behind each coin. From a penny, a nickel, a dime, a quarter.
Yeah, and to Lee's point to that, Lee did an exceptional radio broadcast when we were on the radio that we converted to a podcast. I would tell you go to DBAVictim.podbean.com and you go back and you find it. It's down like one of our early episodes, like 2 or 3, 4, somewhere around there. And I would encourage you to listen to Lee's broadcast because it was educational, it was very patriotic, it was very emotional about what the folds of the flag mean, what those coins on the headstone means. Those are the types of things. And go back and listen. I'd encourage you to do that this Veterans Day. I mean, because that was exceptionally. I had a lot of comments. That was exceptional.
I did put a lot of heart into that show. I lost a good friend over there, and You
did it exceptional. Absolutely exceptional. Well, now on to the other content of the show. Let's talk about 911, not 9/11 as we all know it from September 11th of 2001, but the emergency telephone numbers that you can call when help is needed, and that's not just help from a crime, but help because of a loved one, an auto accident, to report a potential crime in progress, a missing child. But about 911, I had the advantage here just this last week to actually go and tour one of the what's called a hot backup site. So if one of the sites has a failure, this site is a backup. But also to go through a presentation to understand all the technologies behind 911 and where it's evolved. I mean, it used to be, you'd call a phone number and you'd get law enforcement dispatch, and then you'd have to tell them your address, and they'd send somebody out to check on you. They'd have to radio out to a patrol car and a deputy or a police officer or a highway patrolman or a state trooper or whatever, a constable in your area, depending upon where you live at here in the United States, would come to your door. Well, now it's gotten so sophisticated. You make that phone call in that it goes into a dispatcher, but it's transcribing what's being said on the phone so that people can understand it right. And oh, by the way, if English is not your primary language, if you call and you're talking in Spanish, they can press a button and it will translate it and put it up on the screen. And it was like...
Well, when I worked on security, I kept my cell phone. I had a speed button where all I had to do was touch it, and 911 came up, and all I had to do was hit. That way, if I was in a firefight or participate protecting lives, at least the dispatcher would hear, and they can track you through your cell phone.
Yeah,
You know,
they've gotten that down very, very sophisticated
yeah,
because it traps the phone number that's calling, and of course it's always good to tell them the phone number you're calling from. But it
yeah,
will take a geographic reference based upon what's coming in off the cell towers, the longitude and latitudes, and it can actually pinpoint where you're at.
hmm
And then this is where it really started to get kind of, oh, I'll call it kind of Star Warsy, Star Trekky kind of stuff. That they can actually see that, click on a tool like a Google Maps, and actually see the physical location where you're at. And if you're moving around outside, it will track where you're moving on that. And then they can send that picture, that map, to an incident commander if it's a big deal. They can send it to a police officer on their computer or even on their phone on the ground. If it's in a school or if it's in a business that has decided to participate, my gosh, they're even mapping. You guys may have seen this on television where they go in and look at the inside of the building. I thought, oh, that's all BS. Well, now they actually have that technology that's in place where they can see the inside of the building and know mapped and where you're at. So that way, if you're in trouble, let's say it's a bad guy in the building, and you've locked yourself in a closet, you call 911, that they can map you inside the building, tell them, okay, I'm in closet this, and they know where to go to or where to tell
that's
you
why
to
it's
stay at.
so important. Parents, kids nowadays, they have cell phones, 9, 10 years old. They got cell phones, and if you could set your kid's phone up to where all they have to do if they were taken in a car, where they all have to do is just push that button and it calls 911. They can be tracked and they can be found. And, I'm sure a lot of parents don't do that. They don't think about it. And that's what we created this show for, is to make you think about, okay, maybe I do need to set that up just in case if she is pushed and she can't get on there and tell her location because she's in the back seat of a car and she's being drove away. At least she could hit that button and she could be tracked.
The other thing to that is you can also text 911 and they can text back, but make sure you mute your speakers because you don't want somebody, if they've been taken or you're hiding in your home, because the bad guy's in there, like what happened with this, Real Housewife of Beverly Hills here or Hollywood here this week, that if you've got to make that call, that when they respond back, it's not going bing, 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 bing. Same thing if you're hiding in a closet, that it's not coming back. But you can text 911. I mean, the capabilities of what they've got was impressive. Now, are there shortcomings and holes? Yeah, like here in Colorado, we've got canyons. But, they're trying to work on getting the cell tower, providers, which it's the cell phone providers that make the ultimate decision, not the 911 services, putting additional what's called micro towers in the canyons so that if somebody gets lost or something happens, it can work that way. That's also why it's very good if you decide to go fishing out out in the Gulf Lee, or you decide to go in the backwoods someplace or hiking in Colorado, take a fully charged cell phone, because while you might not be able to get voice service, it takes a lot less bandwidth to send a text message than it does to make a phone call. So while you may not be able to make a phone call, you can send a text message. You can send that text message to 911, and here comes the cavalry over the hill to rescue your butt.
Yeah. And, when you have that on there, on that dial, there's a few things you want to be able to tell them right off the bat. You want to check your scene and give them your location and as much medical information as you can as what's going on. But listen to the dispatcher. Dispatcher is going to walk you through it, and they're going to tell you and ask you questions of what's going on so they can get the right kind of help to you.
Well, we went a little bit over in this segment, folks. We're going to take a break, and we're going to come right back. All right, well, we're back. But yeah, where these 911 services have gotten to, it's just phenomenal. It's just phenomenal where they're going to. And the one here, LIDA, the Larimer Emergency, God, my brain just went blank. But their facility, it's LIDA, that's Lima Echo Tango alpha.org here is just one for the county here in Colorado. I would encourage you, wherever you're at in the country, listen to this, find out what the ones are that are around where you live at and sign up for it. Because the one we've got here, I can sign up my business, sign up my home, and if there's an emergency or an emergency lockdown or there's a flood coming, or one of the things we have to be real aware of that we got real aware of last year, push a message to you that, hey, that Cameron Peak fire's coming over the hill, warp factor 10, it's time to get the hell out of Dodge. Whoops. And it will push those messages to you, but you can associate an address with it. So like my office here, if we have a problem in the area, even an electrical outage, could be a bad guy, could be something going on, it'll send a text message out to tell me. Yeah. Same thing with homes. If you got a ground line, you're automatically signed up in this. But 80% of the population are doing things with cells. It's people over 80% of people over 70 have just ground lines. I'm a hybrid. I got both because I've got alarm systems, and Lee knows me. I'm a paranoid about no single points of failure. Backups to backups to backups. But yeah, I'd encourage you to find out about the 911 services in your area.
Yeah, because, and there's also ways to be discreet with a dispatcher on the phone. You can make up a conversation, and they're smart. They know that if somebody's in trouble and they're calling, I know I once read about it in a class that, you could say, well, I ordered it. Hello, is this Domino's? I don't suggest you use something like that. There's a big one out there about, if someone has you kidnapped, they know you're not going to be calling for a pizza. So to me, that was kind of silly. But I say, let it track you as your best bet. Let them, you don't have to say anything. If they say you're in trouble, you can somehow try to say yes and let it be. But if you have the guy right there on you, the last thing you want to do is give him any kind of notion that you've dialed 911.
Well, here's the other one, Lee, that I thought was impressive. You could text 911, and then what they can do, they can send back to you a video request. So like for those of you with iPhones, we call it FaceTime. For those of us with Androids, we call it, who the hell knows what it is? It's just a button that's on there. God bless Google. That you just press it and you can do that. But they could send that request. You could click on it and then they can see it. Or even if you're someplace and you need help, you can take it and you could show it around so they could get, like you had a car accident, right? Or you had a wreck on a backcountry road. To get a context, you could take it in the camera and show them where you're at. Or if somebody is in the car and they've got you, you could, hold it like you're talking to good old mom. Or like the very smart woman did. I think you ought to all learn this because we all have family who uses Skype and everything else. But on TikTok, she had been kidnapped. She got on there because somebody was making a request. You take your hand, palm towards the screen. You take your thumb, you fold it over across your palm, and then your four fingers, you clench all the way over it, covering the phone, and then take your wrist and you bend it down so your knuckles end up facing towards it. That is a symbol for distress for that person. Learn that, because if you even have a family member who may be in a bad relationship and they're calling you on Skype or they're calling you on FaceTime, tell them, hey, if you ever have a problem, use that. I will know what it means.
I know there's one thing called voice over the internet protocol, I think it was.
VoIP.
Yes. And you can update your 911 address in that, right?
Oh, you betcha you can.
See, and then they can track you.
Yeah, that's when you make that call. It's pinging all those towers, and it's telling you, you don't have to have location services turned on inside the phone, which is not a good thing to do, by the way. I'm not a big believer in these phones that I can turn on my geographic because too many other people can use it for hacking purposes, let alone just what they know you're not home if they're tracking your phone someplace. And it's easy to hack, but the stuff that law enforcement's using through these 911 centers is totally different. They're actually pinging it based upon the towers and where you're at.
Yeah, because
I'm good. Go ahead, Lee.
no, go ahead.
Yeah, 10 years ago, I'd seen this stuff, and it was all theory, all in the back of the table. But now things have been pulled together because and the way they pull them together too, you've got two kind of systems that are integrated. One that's a national system called IPAWS, IPAWS, and that's where you get all your emergency alerts, FEMA alerts, civil defense, and then you have the ones that are your orientated towards your regional area. And that's the one that pushes out stuff about what's going on. Well, now they got them kind of tied together, even with Amber Alerts. Now they'll let the local 911s pump out Amber Alerts in the case of emergency. It's just where they've gotten this to in the last 10 years from what I saw years ago is unbelievable. Companies like Intrado is one of the software companies, hardware combination companies that do this stuff. It just impressed. As you can tell, I was pretty excited. I was like blown away. It's like, well, damn. One, there was a concern that I had about, my privacy, but on the other side was, okay, if I need help, I know they sure as hell going to get to my family fast enough.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you was talking about is what I was leading into. I think on the research I did, there was like 240 million calls to 911, and like 80% of them are from cell phones, and like 30% of them were silent. That means somebody dialed and they couldn't speak. And so that's why they put this training out for these dispatchers. Huh?
It's a butt dial.
Yeah, butt dial.
Like you give me once in a while.
I butt dial 911, but these dispatchers, they're trained to try to make contact with the caller and listen to the background or the audio and try to determine if the cause is, a butt dial or a legitimate police or medical emergency.
But it's just the tools are there. I mean, if you need help of any type, we have a fire. We've got a family member down with a heart problem. I've fallen. There's a car accident. We have a fire. We've got water flooding. We've got this. We got a bad guy. We got, my child's missing. Say somebody's grabbed me. Stranger. It doesn't matter. Technology is getting sophisticated enough where they can respond quicker. Get quicker. Be there faster, be able to respond, and that's our EMS guys, that's our firefighters, that's our police officers, our sheriff's deputies, our all kinds of people that can respond to come. But now it's getting to where it's faster, quicker. We have a golden hour, especially if somebody's hurt that we're dealing with. They can get there quicker. And out here in these disparate areas like we have here in Colorado and Wyoming and up into Montana and Utah, you get hurt out in the backcountry. I tell you what, it can be curtains. It can be curtains. The same thing could happen probably, Lee, this time I spent living in the South. Yeah, you get yourself screwed up back there in a bayou someplace. Yeah, you might want to make sure that the boys are coming because otherwise you might be, crocodile whatever later.
Gator bait.
Gator bait, yeah.
Yeah, they call it gator bait down here.
Yeah,
but, there's also times that you don't want to call 911. Minor illnesses or injury or a pet,
Yeah,
you got to use
directions. I'm calling 911 because I'm lost.
Yeah. And people say, well, why? That's what they're there for. Yeah. No, if you're calling and taking that dispatcher's time up, that's someone else that could be calling that needs them that may not get through.
And do understand there are people that call, and I actually listened to 2 calls that came into the center that were just upset about things going on in the local area about law enforcement or about the condition of a road, and they're yelling at the 911 operators like they're supposed to do something about it, and you bastards ought to be, defunded, blah, blah, blah. Why haven't they coded my road? It's like, call your city council. Talk to them. Yeah. Talk to your county commissioners. That's what you have a
city council for.
Yeah, call the mayor. I don't care. De Blasio would love to hear from you. He didn't talk to anybody else. But,
Yeah, so that's why I wanted to throw that out there. This time, they make the funnies. Cat in a tree, call 911.
Oh, yeah.
No, call your son or your nephew or something. Tell them to crawl up there and push the cat out with a stick or something if it's not too high up.
Yeah, if it's way high up, don't be climbing the tree. Don't put it at risk. Call the fire station closest to you. Don't tie up 911 and ask them, what do we do? Call an arborist. Maybe they can come out and get them out of the tree. Well, we're coming up on the end of it, folks. It's been another great week. We've been talking now for 29 minutes and 57 seconds by my clock. But Lee, why don't you take us into the closing, not clothing. Yeah, put some clothing on, Lee. I know it's early in the morning down there in Alabama.
Yeah, you know how I'm dressed. So. But, again, tomorrow's the Marine Corps birthday. You see a Marine with his hat on, and most of them will be wearing one. Just thank a Marine, and then the day after is a Veterans Day. And it doesn't take much people to walk up and say thank you for your service, because I still do it. I see a veteran with a hat on, I walk up and thank him for his service. And it just makes him feel a little bit better. And definitely now I'd always watch your 6. And as long as you have our Lord and Savior in your life, 6 feet ain't so far down.
And folks, remember, education's a wonderful thing. It's not a cover word for other types of activities as we've heard on the news. But education, we got to, freedom is not won on the battlefield, but in the classroom and in the home. Teach your children about freedom, teach them how to love it, and understand the responsibility that comes with freedom. And until next week, folks, from us here at Don't Be a Victim, have a wonderful, wonderful week.